Welcome to the Center of the World Festival. This is a multifaceted festival which takes place at the base of Mount Pinos in the Los Padres National Forest in Pine Mountain Club. The annual cultural celebration is inspired by Chumash legends, to whom Mount Pinos was Liikshu, or Center of the World. Season 2011, which we just completed on August 19 to 21, featured Native American storytelling videos, songwriting competition, and an amateur playwright competition, with plays about humankind's relationship with nature and ecological challenges. The ecodrama theme is based upon the Chumash concept of keeping balance with the universe and humankind. 10 short plays, chosen from selections received from around the U.S., was performed in a Reader's Theater style. The audience voted for the Grand Prize Festival winner. In today's meeting, you will be given a look behind the administrative scene of CalFest. We will address the answers to these questions. What is social theater? What is a 501c3 nonprofit? What is a membership nonprofit? And further, we will discuss these questions. What is the yearly cycle of CalFest? How do steering committees play a role in CalFest? How is a Center of the World Festival structured as an organization? What are the requirements to be nominated for a board of directors? What are the duties of a 501c3 board of directors? What are CalFest's purpose statements? What are IRS tax-exempt activities? What can CalFest do that is IRS approved? What are the volunteer requirements? Who are the CalFest directors and officers? What is social theater? It has been defined as theater and political protest, and has taken many forms such as media activist and anti-globalization, online flash movies for sustainable development, hip-hop and voter registration. Revolutionaries use Facebook and Twitter to topple dictatorships. These are just a few of the ways creativity, technology, and social change have come together. Artists and activists are blending their approaches, strategies, and tactics in a creative stew for progressive social change. The Center of the World Festival seeks to combine all artistic and creativity approaches in telling stories which reflect our community problems, as well as those larger national and global issues which also impact us, either directly or indirectly. We continue to pay tribute to the Native American storytelling approach, as that form of storytelling served as the main tool of social education and cultural sustainability for the ancestral peoples. We pay tribute to the ancient Greek epics, which continue to inspire social theater groups, and we look at all modern forms of storytelling, from short plays to Reader's Theater to digital technology as venues for expression. A nonprofit organization is one that is organized to achieve a purpose other than generating profit. Despite this, a nonprofit organization is not precluded from making a profit or engaging in profit-making activities. It is prohibited from passing along any profits to those individuals who control it, like founders, directors, officers, employees, and members. Nothing, however, prevents a nonprofit from paying reasonable salaries to officers, employees, and those who perform a service for it. A nonprofit corporation is a public charity under Section 501c3 of the U.S. Internal Revenue Code. A corporation is the most common and generally most appropriate structure used to create a nonprofit organization. CalFest is a California state nonprofit corporation. Section 501c3 of the IRS tax code exempts certain nonprofit organizations from federal corporate income taxes. Gaining tax-exempt status gives a nonprofit corporation credibility with potential donors because it shows that the organization has a legitimate charitable purpose, a formal structure for accomplishing its goals, and is publicly accountable. All of our tax reports and board meeting minutes are open to public inspection. In order to qualify as a public charity, a nonprofit corporation must be formed and operated for a charitable purpose. These purposes must be for the benefit of some significant section of society, whether it be the general public or a specific community. CalFest has a broad mission which springs from our local region, but is national, even international in intent. Additionally, a public charity must be publicly supported. This means that the nonprofit corporation must normally receive funds from governmental entities or multiple private donors. Most nonprofits have members who might also be described as supporters, donors, or friends of the organization. These members join the nonprofit because they believe in the mission of the organization, or they receive benefits that are worth the member fee. However, a formal membership structure goes beyond discounts, newsletters, and helpful information. A formal membership organization has members who can have a say or vote in the structure and priorities of the organization. These members usually have the right to elect board members, and they can approve amendments to the bylaws. The categories and authorities of members are spelled out in the Articles of Incorporation and the bylaws of the organization. On the other hand, an informal membership structure does not need to be defined in the organization's legal documents. CalFest terms these informal members as seasonal volunteers. The formal member is referred to as a voting member. We have a binder of formal membership materials that you are welcome to read through tonight and ask further questions. This material is always available for your review. This is a year-round communitas theater. CalFest runs on a fiscal year from November 1 to October 31 of each year. We usually take a break during the holiday times, as volunteers are engaged in so many other community and family events. Our efforts begin in earnest in January, as we must get in the playwright submissions by a deadline, yet allow enough time for writers to get their work done. In April, we acknowledge the efforts of our volunteers with the U.S. Presidential Service Award, current awards being signed by President Obama. You will be given all information about how to keep track of your hours, and later we will talk about the importance of those hours for CalFest's ability to gain grants from government and foundation sources. In May, it is very important that all volunteers come together to read, critique, and choose the finalist plays which will compete at the festival. Our presentations will only be as good as those readers who come forward at this time. No one person holds more influence than another on making those finalist choices. We use a rating system with an average taken of individual ratings, then a ranking of top contenders. After the selection of the plays, then directors and actor-readers begin to find each other and pick their plays. Each director unit is responsible for setting their own schedules and developing their own style of reader theater production and costuming and minimal set design. In July, we begin outreach for audience for the festival, with outreach to different types of audiences, as each day focuses upon a different style of social theater production. That schedule currently is Friday night for Native American storytelling and other forms of storytelling, playwright competition on Saturday, and songwriting contest on Sunday. The festival is currently held on the third weekend in August. This next year there will not be a car show. We are considering possibly doing a 2-weekend presentation for this next year. There are roles for all types of skills and talents for those who want to work behind the scenes. Each category of seasonal volunteer has to be led by a steering committee. These are individuals who understand the legal and ethical obligations of CalFest and the insurance liability issues. Ideally, these steering committees will be led by voting members. When we do not have enough voting members, then the board of directors must take on all these duties. These are only a few of the duties which are needed to carry out the Center of the World Festival event. If you are a voting member and take on the responsibility of a steering committee leader, there are monthly meetings to attend. Please do not take on this responsibility if you cannot do this. How is the Center of the World structured as an organization? There are no fewer than 2 nor more than 9 board members with 1-year terms and being re-electable. 2 or more of these board directors are appointed by the board as an executive committee, the working board members, and these are 6-year terms, also re-electable by the board. The voting members nominate directors. The outgoing board votes for those incoming nominated directors. And when there are no voting members, then all duties return to board control. What are the requirements to be nominated for board of directors by a voting member? When no voting member qualifies for nomination, the board can generate its own nominations. The requirements are: a voting member must have been a voting member for 2 years. They must have nonprofit board experience or else take the IRS online course, which can be found at www.stayexempt.org. They must know all state and federal laws and the California Attorney General charity fundraising laws. They must understand the fiscal sponsorship relationship between California Family Counseling Network, which is in effect until CalFest is fully financially independent. And they must understand insurance liability and volunteer insurance coverage requirements. The board of directors have a fiduciary duty to CalFest. This means a legal duty to make sure that the nonprofit fulfills its mission, does not violate IRS rules, only does what the insurance policies allow, and does not violate the bylaws. Everyone involved in CalFest has to follow all these legal guidelines. It is the board of directors' legal duty to make sure that this occurs. That is the reason why you had to sign volunteer agreements and video recording agreements. It is one way to make sure that everyone understands their obligations under these guidelines. And this volunteer orientation video and the volunteer orientation handbook are other ways to educate the members about these legal requirements.